Welcome to Stamford Bridge, welcome to Derby Day. Few rivalries ignite as frequently as this one. Chelsea and Spurs do battle for the third time in just 18 days. Blues have triumphed in every game they've played Spurs so far this season. Hopefully that continues. 3 points on the line. Kick-off coming your way in the Premier League at 4:30. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. Yes, a big one today. Chelsea Spurs at Stamford Bridge is always one to get excited about. Even more so today because I'm in the company of two absolute Chelsea legends, the brilliant Pat Nevin and the man responsible for this. Brilliant. Gus Poyet in the studio with us this afternoon. Gus, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, after watching those goals better.
Well, better. You literally just said to me and Pat as well that you were one of the best finishers first touch, but two touch, that's not true. That's absolutely not true.
No, but inside the box, yes. I was very slow and I knew my weakness, you know, and I tried to put it right. So I think I was always ready to finish one touch. Even if it was a miss of the defender or a rebound, whatever it was, I prepared my body always to finish one touch. So inside the box, I would like to think that probably more than 80% of the goals that I scored was one touch. Outside the box, obviously, sometimes you take it with you. But
well, let's have a look at some of your goals against Spurs. You've obviously played a lot in this fixture. You've got a brilliant record as well for Chelsea against Tottenham. I mean, again, how does it feel as a player to play in this fixture?
Well, we need to remember that when, in this moment in particular, we were unbeaten against Spurs for 20 games or whatever it was a big number, so it was always something happening, okay? So we were going to play against them even at White Hart Lane. With that unconscious confidence, it's like you know that you're going to do well, somehow. When sometimes against other teams, for example, me in particular, against Arsenal, with Chelsea, it was always difficult to get the result. But against Spurs, it was always that's what I mean with one-time finish. It was difficult to put my right leg kind of on top of the ball, not to lift it over the bar. And that was the way that I trained, the way that I look after myself.
Pat, you'd have loved to play with Gus, wouldn't you? Because again, as a winger and as someone that created a lot of chances.
To play against him. I would take advantage of him.
But the joy is it's hard to explain to people what this art of arriving at the right time. And it sounds easy, but it's hard because there's certain people like Gus and Frank who are world class at it and make it look easy. And it used to annoy the living daylights out of people like me because we couldn't figure out how come you keep on doing that. But the thing is, when you're wide or when you're in an area and they make that run, they make life so much easier for you because you can pull that into that space. Like that ball Graham put in for you, the Lasso there. That's easy for Graham. I was saying that just now. I met Graham outside there, so I'm giving him no credit at all.
But I was so crazy about that I will look at you, and when you will put the ball in the second post, when you will maybe whip it, when maybe you will be able to look at me, and I will put myself in a position depending on him. That was my mental strength, we can call it. So I knew more or less the kind of cross of Ryan Lesso. Totally different to Baba Yaro.
Yeah.
So I needed to be in a place when Ryan will get and have a look. I knew that I needed to run into a certain place. That when Baba was different, and like that with most of the wide players I play with. For example, with Dan Petrescu, you know, Dan will look for me. Or if you play with the best I play with Gianfranco, Gianfranco will say, "Don't worry, run."
Yeah, it'll arrive.
The ball will arrive in there, and then run, and the ball will come like that. Famous goal that he scored.
That's a lovely cross, but a brilliant header as well. Just on that, because obviously you were at the club at the time where I suppose Chelsea's sort of ascendancy into the European elite happened, obviously winning the Super Cup and etc. and being a big part of that. It feels now as Chelsea have gone on to become a superpower in Europe. But obviously, how did it feel being at the club at the time where we started to win big pieces of silverware?
It's great what you say, because when I go back to my country in Uruguay, the young kids that they support Chelsea, they don't believe I play for Chelsea because they see this Chelsea and think, nah, you didn't. You know, like, I think we remember moments, special moments. The night of Vicenza in here at Stamford Bridge, I think it was amazing for us and for the Chelsea fans. How we took the games against Real Madrid, that Super Cup, for us was massive. To be in a Super Cup of Europe against the Champions League winners, it was like the biggest game. Maybe for Real Madrid, it wasn't. We didn't care. We took the trophy. So it was kind of the start of something. And I think that brings great memories, because obviously you enjoy, when the Chelsea win the league or win the Champions League, especially with Robbie on the bench. But that was great moments that we had together.
Absolutely right. Well, you mentioned about Chelsea being different look these days. Here's the team that Thomas Tuchel has selected for this afternoon. Now, I'm glad that I've got two brilliant brains in the studio with me, because we've got 4 at the back here, but that could well be a 5 with Callum Hudson-Odoi potentially at wing back and Aspi one side, Callum the other. Ziyech even at right wing back. We saw that sort of tinkered with the last couple of games, but it looks like a back 4 of Cesar Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger and Malang Sarr, Kepa, Aretha Balaga in goal. Midfield 2 of Mateo Kovacic and Jorginho, and then 4 in whichever order you want. Is it a 3, is it a 4, is it a 2, is it a 1? Ziyech, Mount, Hudson-Odoi and Romelu Lukaku. Obviously a littered bench of Bettinelli, Alonso, Kanté, Pulisic, Werner, Chalobah, Sarr and Barkley and Havertz. Pat, is it a 4, is it a 5? What do you think, mate?
Do you know what? This is the weirdest thing. We watch Chelsea, we never miss a minute, and we don't know. How do you think Antonio Conte's feeling just now? He's going, what?
It's a meeting in the dressing now, all the staff thinking, how are they going to play? For sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a back 4, really, purely because the way the Spurs have been playing recently. They've been playing 2 up front. So, he loves playing a 3-4-3. That's the way Antonio would play. But it's not been that recently with him. So they may well play their 5-3-2, so, and then you can play a back 4. Yeah. Then it's kind of comfortable to do that. But it will adapt during the games, and Gus will tell you, like, international football was always that way. You can change 2 or 3 times during a game, the system, the style, etc. I think we might be looking at that today, right? Okay, what's working? Will we adapt it? But all the players that are good enough. I hope Ziyech is a bit further forward. I think of the one player of all of them, I want him a bit further forward. I don't want him wing back, because it's not what he's best at. Get him up there, and the goal he scored the other night was brilliant for us.
Just on that, Gus, you kind of alluded to it, the fact that the manager, Antonio Conte, will be in the away team dressing room now trying to work out where it is. As a manager, being against that and also selecting that team, does that come into your mindset going, I know that they'll have to second guess what we're doing here, and you don't give them that leeway to prepare? Because you alluded to it as we were talking before we came on air. It was so expected Chelsea will play 3 at the back, they play 4 across the middle, and then they play a 3 up front before Christmas. And now we're sat here going, is it a 4, is it a 5, is it a 3?
With any doubt, when you just started in a new team, like Antonio Conte, you start preparing the team in a certain way depending on the position a little bit. The positioning, okay? Maybe when you are 2 years there and you play against so many different systems, it's more relaxing because the players they know already. But I'm sure that it was preparing for the 2 previous games against Chelsea. They're going to play back 3, 100%. So you prepare your team, you try to put a pressure, for example, 3 players against 3 and press high, and then you go into the game and it's a 4. And certainly most of the players nowadays, they will look at the coach and thinking, what happened? They're playing 4. Because so many things, so much information we give the players, so much detail. When somebody say, oh, this coach is very good, he goes really into detail. Okay, that's a lot of information for the player. I like the player that he got information, but then he decides. You play for Chelsea. You are on the pitch. Pat knew when to go in the outside, when to go in the inside, depending on the fullback. He didn't need to look at the coach and say, go outside or go inside, because you know the position and where is better that day to go through the player. And I think we're taking that away from the game a little bit. It's like we don't let the players think and make decisions. And as soon as they make a wrong decision, which is part of the learning, we jump on him and we tell him, don't do that, which is wrong as well. Okay, I'm not saying no to put something right, but I like a little bit the player that thinks for himself.
Take the responsibility, yeah.
Yeah, funnily enough, Mason Mount was talking about it this week, and Mason was saying, like, we get so much information from Thomas and we know exactly what we're going to do. But he leaves out the line of, until you get to the decision-making moment, then you decide. And that's it, particularly in the final third, isn't it?
Exactly.
Final third, look, I can't tell you what to do because you don't know what the defender's going to do. You don't know where the runs are going to be. We have to trust your ability in that final creative third. So, absolutely, yes, that's what we hope for the players are going to do. The other bigger one, which I think Gus is talking about, is if you have a system and it's not working, changing that in the pitch without the manager say so, that's a tricky one. I've done that once or twice myself, and it doesn't always go down particularly well.
I'm not going to talk about that.
It doesn't go down well with the manager, that one.
I can imagine that doesn't.
But you are there. You know, I always talk to the players, and I don't know, Pat, you know, when you're in the middle of the park, noisy, game like today, and the manager shouts at you, Pat, and you go, yeah. What can you say? You know, you cannot hear what he's saying. You play 200-300 games. Yeah, I understand there is something that needs to correct, but let me play because I'm here. And I think that we're losing a little bit. We're making the players like we joystick, you know, like go right, go left. It happened to Mason the other day at Tottenham. He was playing wide on the right, and I think Tuchel wanted him wide in certain moments, an infield between the defence and the midfielders in another, and it was difficult for Mason to go wide, in, wide. You know, you go like, let me play.
Absolutely right.
But it's the tactics that we talk a lot today. No, we don't know which system.
Game awareness and tactics.
Yeah. Exactly right. I'll tell you what, let's get some more insight then into the team news up on the Gantry. We've got Jason Cundy and Matt Davies-Adams for us. Boys, just chatting about the system, about the team selection. What have you made of it?
JC's pretty sure it's 4 at the back, Joe, so I'm bowing to his expertise there. From then on, as you were saying, who knows? And that's not a bad thing, is it? We like the element of surprise, and Antonio Conte will not like that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Matt. Yeah, so this was the intriguing thing coming in. The fact that we played 4 in the last 2 games, or started with a 4-2-2-2 formation, or 4-4-2, depending where the ball is, of course. I get this. Look, as soon as Alonso's not on that team sheet, that tells me we're not playing with a wing-back with Chilwell out. Sar's not. I can't see Sar playing there. He's not going to risk playing Callum out in that position. I don't see that. So for me, it's a 4, and then it's a question of what do you put in front of the back 4. It feels like a 2. It feels like another 2, and it feels like another 2. That's how it feels, or a 4-4-2 to me. They're intriguing. The fact that Eric Dyer is back in as well. He's not going to change. Davies is playing. It's going to be a 3, or as they've played in the last 2 games, Matt, against us, it's been a 5. It's not been a 3. They've played 5, and they have been shameless in their 5. It's not even like trying to be a 3. We might be a 5. No, it's a 5, and they're trying to get into a 3 eventually. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be too much difference from what we've seen from the previous 2 games against Spurs.
Good shout, boys. Is exactly right. Like we were saying, we've seen a 4, and we're kind of used to seeing that 4 against Spurs. So you'd imagine that Thomas Tuchel leaving that dangling a little bit does give that room to change once the game starts and see how Antonio Conte's side begin, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the mark of a great manager, isn't it? You react to what's happening in the game. I mean, the Spurs team less surprising, albeit they've made 5 changes from that side that started at Leicester. I mean, I think we all probably could have predicted that Steven Bergwijn would get a start, couldn't we? But Matt Doherty coming in for his first Premier League start.
Played well when he came against Leicester.
He
played really well. Played really well, so he deserves his place.
But these are 2 coaches who can adapt during games, can't they? And 2 sets of players who are capable of doing that as well. They know that if you start with plan A, it's not always the case that you end with that.
Look, the bench now in the modern game is as important as it's ever been. Spurs is a great example of that, what they did, bringing Bergwijn off. So we all look at a starting 11. We all try and pontificate about how clever we are, about what's going to happen this. But the bench is absolutely crucial. People forget the bench can have such an impact on the game for both sides. And you look at our bench and look at their bench, and I know whose bench I'd rather be sitting on, or playing, of course.
Yeah, and you'd say that with Chelsea versus pretty much any other team. So fingers crossed, it's going to be yet another win to 0 against Spurs.
Fantastic work, boys. Yeah, Jason and Matt will be back for the warm-up in not too long. Right now, let's do Play Predictor. So if you haven't had your say already, it's on the Fifth Stand app. You've got until 5 minutes before kick-off to get your predictions in for today's game. Really cool prizes to be won each and every match day, and a big end-of-season champion as well. So, Gus, what do you think the score will be today, mate?
Well, seeing now the lineups, I would think that Chelsea will win 2-0. Me, because I love the forward players, I would like Lukaku to score.
Okay.
I think he needed it. I think the club needed it. The fans as well, they would like to see him scoring. And also celebrating. I think the best part of football is celebrating goals. And we're losing a little bit with VAR. And with people a little bit moaning like that. So let's celebrate the goals, proper. You know, like
we'll celebrate if we score today.
I'm not saying that preparation of celebration and making something funny, but really because it's the best moment. And I don't want to take that moment away from the game.
Completely right. OK, so 2-0 and Lukaku. Pat, possession-wise, what do you think it'll be today?
Well, we've got Jorginho and Kova in centre midfield. And to be fair, they're as good as anyone around at holding the ball together when they're playing at their best. So I do think we'll have more of the ball. So I would actually go pretty clean 60-40 for us. But whether possession makes any difference in the end, we will find out. But certainly Jorginho, Kova's been in fantastic form. Just Jorginho's, it's been hard for him recently because he's been asked to do a lot. And I think he's been asked to play a couple of times when slightly injured and a couple of times when he's had more games than anyone else. But if he's back at his best today, we should control the match.
Absolutely right. So there you go. There's the possession stats and what we've gone for today. Make sure you get your predictions in. 5 minutes before kick-off is the deadline. Time now for the social. OK, so we're going to get straight into it today. Show and Tell is all about the great man in the studio with us this afternoon and your goals, guys. So let's start with a big goal. And you need to predict your favourite, say your favourite in the comments on the Fifth Stand Up down below. This one is a beauty because this is a game you've already alluded to today against Vicenza. And what a goal it is as well. Very similar to the one we've already seen in terms of a delivery from Graham Lasso from the left-hand side. Good, really difficult where it bounced and bobbles. Lovely finish. You pleased with that one?
I'm pleased, special for my mental health at that moment, coming back from an injury, long time, 5.5 months out, coming back in a semi-final, and equalising at that moment. We're lucky that we were out of the final. It was really important for me.
Really?
For Chelsea as well.
No? Of course, absolutely right.
Did you see what I said about one touch finish?
Yeah. Let's have a look at the next one then. And again, another big game. This is a fantastic goal.
Wow.
FA Cup semi-final against Newcastle.
Favourites.
Lovely little ball round the corner. What a finish that
He's arriving late again. He's doing it again.
One of my favourites for two reasons. One is because obviously it's a semi-final, but I used to love the old Wembley.
Yeah.
And to be able to play in Wembley, score. I scored the second as well that game.
Oh, you're going to see it in a minute. Don't worry.
And it was like, it was very special. People remember better goals, but those ones for me they are key. They are unique. I don't know what I was in the box when I was playing left side next to John Harley, I think it was. But okay, we needed to win, and we done it.
Every type of goal, Pat. Every type of goal.
Yeah, but you were talking about that one-touch finish stuff when you're in the box. I mean, you have a laugh at saying that it's because I'm slow with my feet. No, it's not. You don't get time in the box, do you? When you arrive there, if you take more than one touch, you're probably going to get tackled. But if you can adapt your body, and we've seen it a couple of times there, the one you slipped particularly, that looks as if you've slipped. Actually, no. You know you're slipping, but you still position your body and your foot in the right way. I bet you're happier than that goal than people realise. That is a great piece of skill.
I scored a goal with my knee. Ball of second post, bringing down somebody, and the ball came in here, and I just hit it with my knee. It was like a bullet, boom. And people say, "Oh, that was ugly." First, it counts one, like any other goal. Then it was unstoppable. Well, I need to stop it and make an overhead kick. Yeah. Okay, fine. I had those ones as well, nice, but it counts one.
Well, I don't want to guess your favourite goal, but this has to be in the conversation, the goal against Real Madrid in the Super Cup final. This is, because of the importance of it, because of the fact that, like you said earlier, beating Real Madrid in a European final, lovely little play from Gianfranco Zola here, and what a finish that is.
It's unique because it's the only goal I scored in a final, and that makes it bigger than anyone. Bigger, I'm thinking. I also because I didn't have a great morning, because Gianluca didn't play me from the beginning. So my morning and afternoon wasn't great, but it finished the day fantastically. So, and especially against Real Madrid. Like I said, that game was massive for us.
It's a fantastic goal. Please vote for your favourite one, if you can pick from those three, in the comment section down below. Time to move on to the trending topics of the week. And a word that Thomas Tuchel used after the midweek game was tired, Pat. And I think that's probably a fair assessment, considering, and I've had to write this down because we've had 16 games since the start of December. In contrast, Brighton have had 9 games in that time. 7 games crammed into, you know, a little over a month difference. That's massive.
It is, and it's the type of games as well. I don't know if you watched the Liverpool game, the Chelsea-Liverpool game. The pace and speed of that game from minute 1 to 90-odd minutes was ridiculous. It was after the game, it's not often you see this. These players will just lay down on the ground. They were wrecked, they were gone. Now, so it's not A, more games, B, and it's not just this month, it's been constant. And we've had a number of injuries and the COVID stuff as well. And you stick all that together, of course you're going to get 1 or 2 games where it's a bit off. And I do always remember, and this is the thing that out with the game you never realise, there's 1 or 2 players playing with injuries. You will be playing with an injury. We all did. You have to. And it does slow you down. So, yeah, there's all that stuff on top of it. And we're great when we can play our style of play, which is fast, which is high pace, which is high. But it's hard to keep on doing that unless you can rotate the way Thomas wants us to. And it's been harder to rotate.
Well, we talk about it all the time. Momentum is a big thing, obviously, a lot of people talking about, a lot of people on social media having those exact conversations as well, talking about the momentum swing and things like that, because it has been difficult. You know, Chelsea were on a brilliant run, had a couple of injuries, and I think some of these tweets kind of allude to that fact and talk about that. But this one here, I mean, the next game for Chelsea Spurs, actually a massive game, not only for points, but for momentum. You know, we talk about that change in the narrative, change in the trend, and we talk about the amount of games we played since the 1st of December. But this is it here. Chelsea have lost only 3 times this season, twice to Manchester City. Our season changed that fateful night we beat Juventus and lost Chilwell and Kanté. Then COVID, multiple injuries just ruined the momentum of the team. Boys are trying and Tuchel is doing his bit. We'll be fine. We talk about this quite a lot as fans, Gus, about momentum, about, you know, you get on a run, you feel it. How important is that as a player, or is that just kind of a buzzword that we talk about?
No, it's completely true. It's easier when you start winning games to prepare for the game. That little injury that you feeling less, you're a little bit quicker, you're a little bit happier. You go into the game thinking, yes, we're going to win it. You know, you don't think or you don't have any doubts. So the momentums, they are always important. I think that if we want to see top-class football every game, we need to be careful with the quantity of games.
Yeah.
Because you cannot see a player, fast players, playing week in, week out, sprinting 90 minutes, because normally they're going to get injured after 3 or 4. And we want those players on the pitch all the time. I know that television is the one in charge, and I know it's important for us as well as a fan, so we need to find a balance and to be careful, because if not, it's not fun, you know, and it's a problem.
It's difficult, isn't it, Pat? Because like Gus has pointed today, you know, players do play with injuries, and like you've already said yourself, there's so many games, it's so repetitive. Chelsea are in a fortuitous position that we've not had to call any games off, even if there was one that potentially was a bit touch and go up until kick-off the Wolves game before Christmas. But to fulfil all those fixtures, we spoke about, I don't think the club gets enough credit for doing that, because Burnley have played 6 less Premier League games than us this season.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you have to do that, and you'd rather get the points in the bag. Sadly, we didn't get some of those points because we ended up drawing them because we looked a little bit tired. And maybe there's an argument you could have been a bit cuter about it, but I don't want us to be cuter about it. I want us to do the right thing. I want us to play when we're available to play. See, the other thing I add on top of that, there's lots of things to add about the tiredness of players that Thomas Tuchel was talking about. They play a lot of games, but they're also playing international games, and they're also travelling around the world. You stick all that on top. I mean, you popping back to Uruguay, I mean, I must have exhausted you.
And I tell you, I was even unlucky because we used to play Wednesday night in South America. So you couldn't take the plane until Thursday, and you will arrive at Heathrow Airport on Friday morning and go direct to the training ground. And I remember Gianluca Vialli saying, "You're not playing tomorrow." Yeah. And I was saying, "Why? No, why not?" I said, "We just arrived from Uruguay, like 5 hours different time, different weather, tired after playing an international game, and you want to play tomorrow. Imagine if you played Saturday away from home. Yeah. Then you need to travel." So it was difficult. But I think now it looks to me that it's too many games in a short period of space. No, we need to extend the season if we can a little bit longer.
Completely agree. Quite a lot going on actually at Stamford Bridge today. Not only Chelsea, Tottenham, but also we are celebrating Chinese New Year. We sent Dan outside to find out what's going on.
Right, it is just a couple of hours before kick-off, and to commemorate Chinese New Year that is on the 1st of February, we have a bit of a celebration here. If you look behind, there's a dragon on the floor. I'm sure he's getting ready to do something. Just to keep in the festive spirit. in the distance there is some dragon's heads, and there are some people here with dragon's legs on, so I'm presuming at some point we are going to get a full-fledged dragon walking through the shed wall. You've got to love the Chinese festivities. What a culture and a part of the world that Chelsea seem to be growing in exponentially. And as it reads, to all Chelsea fans, happy Chinese New Year.
Incredible. Big party atmosphere outside, obviously purely business on the pitch though. Pat, we've seen Tottenham this week come back from 2-1 with about 4 seconds to go, I think it was, officially, and then they've gone on to win the game. We spoke about momentum from our perspective. For them, it's probably a good time for them to come into this game.
They've got a habit of doing that at the moment. There was a Watford game at the start of January, and they scored in the 93rd minute to get the 1-0 win. I was up at Tottenham for the Morecambe game. They were 1-0 down, 74 minutes, and they scored in the 83rd and 85th. They've scored 96 and 98 or something like that at the weekend there. We can't turn off today. At no point can we turn off. Their momentum, oddly, is they don't actually believe they can get beat late on in the game. The lack of momentum they have is they're playing against Chelsea Football Club, but they've not a very good memory of it at the moment. And if they lose this one, I think this is a gigantic game, because if they lose this one, we get the gap. If they manage to get a win here with their games in hand, that's a concern for Chelsea. That is a real concern. We're going to have a right good end to the season. So, I mean, lots of people talking about... Somebody said to me this morning on the radio, Chelsea are comfortably in that top 4 just now. Yeah, we are just now, but we'll keep going. You know, we need to make sure we go on a good run now. I mean, as you say, we've got 2 defeats in the last 26. You know, we're not bad at the moment. We're doing OK. But realistically, this is one we do not want to lose.
Completely agree. We spoke about our momentum. A lot of people online talking about Tottenham's momentum. This one here, late win for Spurs Sunday, is going to be really tough with that sort of comeback, given the momentum. It's a good point from Harry. But Gus, I suppose, Antonio Conte, we know how good he is. What have you made about his impact since he's taken over at Tottenham?
Well, I think it made them more competitive, with any doubt. They set up the style of play and the players they try to apply to it. I think, like he said, he needs more players, with any doubt. I think today he's going a little bit more defensive.
Little?
Because we counted like 6 kind of, 5.5 defenders. So it will mean that maybe, because it didn't work in the 2 previous games in the Cup, maybe they're going to try something different. That could be a good thing for them, or bad, because it's new, and you never know. I always think in these games the first goal is very, very important, because he opens up the game for the opposition. But I'm still, confident that Chelsea is better than the Spurs, with any doubt, right now.
Absolutely right. I mean, I'd much like it to be like the first 2 encounters we've had in the last 2 weeks, but it's not going to be that easy today. I don't think they weren't at their best. They very much weren't. Right, time then to go over land and sea. We've got our overseas fan joining us this afternoon. Ben, how are you, mate? You good?
I'm fantastic. How are you all?
Very well, thank you. Do you want to introduce the supporters group you're from and whereabouts you are?
Yeah, so Ben Landry, I'm the chapter head of Zydeco Blues in Baton Rouge. We are part of the Carefree Louisiana Coalition in team with Port City Blues and Crescent City in New Orleans.
We've had your friend Dylan on earlier in the season, of course, part of the same factor as you are, and we know that you've got something special planned for the Club World Cup, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got an event called Blues Day. It's pretty much 16 chapters from around the nation are sending people over. We've got almost 100 signups so far. We're either going to be celebrating for the 3rd place match or the final, hopefully the final. So it's going to be a great weekend.
Oh, that's incredible. We're going to stay in contact with you as well and try and get sort of updates as and when during the Club World Cup, because that sounds awesome. And I know all Chelsea fans would definitely want to see a bit of that. So we've not had you on the show before. We like to hear sort of your origin story, as we always do with Overland and Sea. So how did you fall in love with the football club?
Yeah, so my origin story is a little bit different. It comes from the Moscow final. had never watched a game of football in my life. I was sitting down at a poker table with all of my friends who were United supporters, and after the match, just seeing JT and Nico's passion after those infamous misses, it just obviously I couldn't support the same team that all my friends were supporting because that wouldn't be cool, right? But secondly, it just felt so right. Like, I'm the underdog story personally in my life. So I was like, dude, Chelsea's my team. And since then, it's been 14 years of absolute elation.
That's incredible. I mean, very much a good luck charm then. If you're coming off the back of a cup final defeat, and then ever since then we've won the Champions League twice, and we've had a very good run. So yeah, you picked a good side, a good time to join the team. Yes, sir. Yeah, 4 years later was all tears in the bar. I mean, my origin story was losing the final, and then 4 years later, boom, there we go. We also, like to point out the fact that it's not easy to watch Chelsea from all different corners of the globe, and there's a lot of early alarms, and we've had members of Overland and Sion in the past, and there's been sort of the sun rising as we've spoken to them beforehand. So, what time is it where you are at the moment? It is currently approaching 10 a.m., 9:55. So not too early for us. Central Standard Time. We sometimes catch the occasional 7:30 match. But look, your boys in California, LA, I mean, they're rocking 4:30 matches on a really regular basis. That's commitment, Pat, isn't it? I know you do quite a lot with supporters clubs as well, but it's amazing to see.
It is. I was over in Las Vegas a while back, a few years back, for a number of Chelsea supporters over there, and they're just completely and utterly passionate. And I've said this before, and you've heard me saying this, and I'm not, just because we've got Baton Rouge on the Zoom here. I love US football fans, soccer fans, because they absolutely love the game. They're much more knowledgeable. Years gone by, they were seen as not the most knowledgeable crowd. That's nonsense now. They're an extraordinarily knowledgeable crowd. But they do this one thing that we don't do. They just kind of love their team. They don't spend a lot of time hating anyone else. I love US football fans. And the US soccer team, I've followed them for 2 World Cups. In Brazil, I was at every single game. So I'm a big fan of that. But can I ask one question before I go any further? You must have a favourite player, a favourite Chelsea player. Who is it? Past or
None
present?
other than Super Frank Lampard. Current or past, yes.
No. Current, both, either. Frank, obviously.
Frank is my all-time favourite for sure, but Mason Mount right now, man, the passion that he shows, the love that he shows, I really think he's got captain material and, can be such a giant legend for this club. He's so big in these moments, and it reminds you a lot of Frank, not necessarily his play style, but his just absolute grit on the pitch, and we miss that a lot right in this squad right now. We miss that grit. So Mason's got it.
Yeah, I love that. Mason's a very popular figure, very popular figure. Just finally as well, because obviously we've got you throughout the rest of the game, Ben, as well, which is great. Thank you for joining us for that. But just talk us through how you think the game will go today.
Man, you guys were talking about Tottenham's late momentum. That's the only momentum Tottenham's got right now. Kanté does not have them steamrolling by any means. And, we definitely aren't steamrolling ourselves, but we've got a way better squad. So I'm going 2-0 to Chelsea.
Love that. 2-0, yeah. Lovely. We'll absolutely take that. Thank you very much for that, mate. Yeah, we've got you throughout the game, half-time, full-time, and everything like that as well, so that'd be brilliant. Right now, though, let's do, in case you missed it. Now, Maurizio Sarri, did anyone see this? Pat's ahead. If you haven't seen this, Maurizio Sarri got absolutely wiped out on the touchline. Gus, have you ever had that on a touchline as a player or a manager?
I jumped. After I landed, I went down, and you try to put your hands down and stand up quickly, like nothing happened. But that was tremendous.
It was absolutely fine, by the way, Maurizio Sarri. It was absolutely fine. It was
glasses, everything.
It's horrible when you're the manager, isn't it? Because you can't move. You're static, and the player's coming at you 100 miles an hour. It's a horrible position to be in.
Absolutely right. Let's move on to Aymeric Laporte, who was debuting a new haircut last week. Seen this one? Yeah. Okay. So obviously played well against Chelsea as well. Got quite a few comments online about this. This is quite nice as well, and this is Aymeric reply as well. That's mean, but accurate for now. I like that as well because he's buying into it. He's okay with it. He's seeing the fun in it, which I really enjoy. Have you got any fashion regrets from your time as a player that you've seen in the dressing room? Gus, any players that you've seen come in with questionable haircuts?
No, not in particular. No, we had it was Bogart that had like 2 or 3 phones at that age. At that time, it was like it was new. 1 was pretty cool, but 2 and massive. It was it was at least strange. Everybody was looking at him. Why he got 2 or 3 phones?
But before we go any further, don't you dare show any old pictures of me, right? Don't you dare.
There's a couple in your book which I implore you to buy if you've not already, because it's a fantastic read, but some very nice pictures in there about as well.
Shorts.
Yeah, it's the shorts.
It's
the shorts. It is. He's got a lovely leather jacket as well, which I'll get into show later on. Also, this as well. We like food at a football stadium. This is the Dortmund burrito.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So
What is
fries, bratwurst, onion, and curry ketchup.
No.
No? Not a fan of that, Gus? No?
I hope it tastes well, because looks, I don't know.
No?
I'm in there. I'm in there. About the word curry, just need to put that in and I'm happy, right? But it's one of those really, really guilty ones you would do just once, maybe every couple of seasons. If you're an ex-player, you probably
I would. Listen, in Uruguay, it was typical going to the stadium and having this kind of. It was like sausages in there, in a bread, like with everything on top. It was terrible, oily and everything. Yeah, but it was football. That was the typical going to football. So we got that.
Absolutely
that
right.
one now.
I wanted to sort of talk to you now about a sadder story, which you may have seen an article on the Chelsea website yesterday. Good friend of ours and the man that's responsible for everything you see around you in terms of Matchday Live, Richard Bigler, sadly passed away recently. Pat, he's a dear friend to a lot of us here, a lovely, generous, warm man, and just an opportunity to talk about his influence on Chelsea TV and the show and everything like that.
Well, certainly, I've lost a friend, a close friend. He's one of the loveliest people I've ever met in my entire life, Richard. I think most of us who knew him are still quite in shock. And so often with Chelsea or any fans of any football team, you kind of see the team and the players. There's people behind the scenes that have given most of their lifetime to the club. And Richard was here for nearly two decades or so.
Yeah.
And absolutely beautiful man, dearly loved by every single person. You sometimes hear people talking about, people who have just gone, and you think, oh, you're waxing too lyrical. Not with Richard. He's just one of the best people I've ever met in my life, and I'm missing him terribly. Missing him awfully at the moment. I think everybody is. Always a smile. It helped the fact that although he loved Chelsea, he liked Everton as well, and Wickham. So him and I got on well. The reason why I work here is because of Richard. He brought me here, and obviously I love the club, but and everybody who was here together were all really, really close. And I'm struggling to deal with the fact that he's not here anymore. But a lovely, lovely, wonderful man who's just, sometimes you look around this place and you think, he's too good for this place. This world's too good for two nice people.
I just echoing all that, mate. He's a fantastic man, a man that has given me my opportunity to do my dream job, working at the football club that I love and that I came to watch as a boy. And for someone to give you that opportunity and to trust you and encourage you, and he's a boss that would text you after a good show or after you've done something to reward you and congratulate you. And he's given so many people like myself, Lee Parker, I know, is obviously very grateful for the opportunity he's given him, Ben Andrews as well, Jason Cundy, that so many people through the door, everyone through the door had Richard's seal of approval because he was the guy. He's the reason this show happened. Zach, Olivia, myself, Abby, Dan, he's just made such a massive impact.
The other thing on top of it is we just wanted to speak to as friends after games, so you'd go and have a drink or whatever and spend time with each other. There's not that many workmates over the years that you always do it, but with Richard, I just loved every second that I ever spent in his company, and I'm missing him madly.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, we are all missing him dearly here. He's a big part of this football club, and we just wanted to pay tribute to Richard, so thank you very much. We're going to take you to the warm-up next.
This is the warm-up then. You can see, well, the players are warming up just behind us. It's not too long until we do Chelsea v Spurs all over again. It's been what January has been all about, hasn't it? Jason, we're going to go into our 3 points for 3 points. The first one we're going to look at reflects on what happened in the previous meetings. Finish the game off if Tottenham allow us to. Particularly here, I'm thinking about the first leg of the League Cup semi-final when it should have been 4 or 5-0 at half-time. Spurs, a team that don't tend to start that quickly. So this is an opportunity, actually, for Chelsea to do this, get a couple of goals early doors.
Indeed.
Sounds really easy when I put it like that.
Doesn't it just, Matt? But do you know what, Matt? The way you just said it, it was actually that easy in the first leg of the semi-final here. And the chances that went begging almost criminal, really, because the game could have been over at half-time, the tie, but it wasn't. And today's game is going to be really interesting to see how we think we know the shape of the teams, we think we know what managers are doing, but it's also the approach. You can play, look, I've seen Kanté play here with a 3 at the back, with wing-backs high and wide, almost playing like wingers, and it's going attack. I've seen Kanté play here against Manchester City a couple of 3 or 4 seasons ago when he was manager here, and it was a 5 at the back, a little bit like he did here. So it's also the approach, not necessarily the shape, it's the approach of the team, the attitude of the team. I think they'll take a point today, Spurs, and I think that Conte's got a bit of a scenario. What does he do? Does he force it? Because if they lose today, even though they've got games in hand, it does put us in a really, really good position. If they draw today, they can look back and say, OK, we've got the games. We can actually take advantage of that and really hurt Chelsea. If they win, of course, then we're absolutely talking game on. That top 4 spot is up for grabs. Hard to know, with the team he's got, how much belief he has in this squad. Chelsea team, there's times he's gone for it. There's times he hasn't. This Spurs team, really interesting to see how he approaches the game.
So that almost beautifully leads us on to point 2, which is to set the tone from the off. And you say there that Spurs will be happy with a point. Are you thinking, therefore, that Chelsea will not? And in terms of setting the tone, will want to come out quickly as they did here in well, certainly a couple of games that you can think of recently, and that was what really worked. Is that what it's about, or is actually a point not a bad result for Chelsea?
No,
today?
a point's a bad point, Matt. I really don't see it as a good point. Average point at the very best. It's a better right now. If you had to poll every single person in this stadium, right, and Chelsea and Spurs fans, who they would want to draw, I guarantee Spurs fans will take a point now. I guarantee they would. Bearing in mind we've beaten 3 times already this season. So a point is a good point for them. And they're looking at the league table. Arsenal have dropped points today. They drew. They've seen themselves pick up points late on against Leicester, which is a massive 3 points for them. Bearing in mind the game was over. They'd lost the game going to injury time. Man United picked up huge 3 points yesterday. Again, final kick of the game. And I think that they must be looking at this now. And it's hard to plot your way through because it never works that way. That football just doesn't operate in that way. But just looking at the way that who they are right now, they're happy to scrape into 4th spot, and a point today may possibly get them something really close to that.
Our final point comes onto the defence. We've seen Tony Rudiger and Malang Sarr amongst those warming up there. Keep a 4th clean sheet of the season against Spurs. It's very simple. If Chelsea do that, they at least won't lose the game. But it's about building confidence at the back again, isn't it? There was so much of it there at the start of the season when, admittedly, there were different personnel playing. But when you've got an unfamiliar, what we assume to be a back 4, all right, you've got 3 vastly experienced players there, but you've got somebody playing out of position, we assume, in Sarr at left back. Keeping a clean sheet, particularly with Kepa still minding the net in Mendy's place, that would give the perfect platform here today.
Yes, it would. And a clean sheet. Look, I'll always back us. Every time I come to Stamford Bridge, whoever we're playing, I always back us to win. Always feel, never go into games feeling, oh, we're going to lose today. Yeah, there's trickier games. Of course there are. Man City, Liverpool. But I always come in thinking, you know what? That we are good enough to take 3 points. But there's one man on this pitch today that I've seen really, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, really start to become the player that we know he is, and that's Harry Kane. Keep Harry Kane quiet, because against Leicester midweek, he was excellent. I thought he was the best player on the pitch. I know Bergwijn got the man of the match, and for obvious reasons he did. But Harry Kane, he's getting the distances between dropping in enough to create chances, yet also being in areas where he can play the ball off and still be effective on part of that build-up. What he was doing under Nuno was dropping into it, and Jose dropping into areas where, even though he was part of the build-up, he couldn't affect the final ball. So he was coming into areas like the mid-third, laying balls off, doing that creative part, yet he was 15, 20 yards outside the box. It's like, how now there's a difference. Harry Kane is dropping into areas where he can be part of the build-up and also be part of what they hope to be at the end of it, which is going to be him. He looked sharp. He looked quick. He looked slim. He looked sharp. and he keep him quiet today. You go a long way at keeping Spurs quiet.
Yeah, playing for a manager who knows how to get the best out of strikers too. Just ask Romelu Lukaku and Diego Costa about that. Speaking of managers, how about this for a statistic? Chelsea unbeaten in the last 20 games they've played in the Premier League against former coaches. Everybody from Ranieri to Mourinho to Grant to AVB, Benitez, Ancelotti and Antonio Conte. They all look pretty fed up in that particular picture, don't they? That's just a quirk, isn't it? You can't actually read anything into that in terms of how the games unfold, or is it a case of, well, we know this guy's tricks?
Do you know what really is amazing there? Other than Benitez, every single one of those managers started here, and they're all like they come to the party a little bit late. And anyone that saw AVB manage here, how Spurs thought that was going to work is an absolute mystery to me. I'm going to tick the Jose box as well. How anyone thought the Jose was going to work at United and Spurs? I mean, people are getting paid millions for that. I could have told them over a cup of coffee. But there are managers in there that are top draw, and Antonio Conte is one of those.
Yeah, and it's his Spurs side that are the opposition today. Well, we're going to take a look now at a player who scored against Tottenham when the teams met in the league in the reverse fixture earlier in this season. The ageless, graceful Thiago Silva.
I think it's fair to say it wasn't our best performance against Brighton, but this man stood out head and shoulders. The best player on the pitch for me. Right place, right time. Rarely does he go to ground, and when he does, he knows he's going to win it. The ball's like a magnet, and it's no coincidence that every time this ball comes into the box, he's anticipating where it is. And this is something you can't teach. It's something that just now naturally is in his game. Spreading confidence around the back four, winning big headers at vital moments, including this one here in the centre of the box. But always in control. Just watch him here. He knows Rudiger has got the near post covered, so he hasn't got to go in and drop deep. He then comes off the edge of the 6-yard box and goes and wins a header, making sure Welbeck can't get there. Welbeck's first touch is a bit heavy. He knows that. Uses his body just to ease him out. Calm, collected, and wins the ball. Again, this time uses his body again to shield it. The keeper comes off his line. Edge of the box. I said to him, going to ground. The only time he does, he wins it. Maybe a little fortunate there, but again, using years of experience. But watch this one here. As that ball comes in Il Mopai, he can get attracted. If he does, Trossard might make the run in behind him. He holds off, and in doing so, those vital seconds allows for the challenge to come in on the edge of the box. But he's not finished. Watch him in the centre of the picture. Goes and wins it again as Trossard comes in also. Passing, well, what can you say about that? Inch perfect, sets up an attack. He's been outstanding, and long may that continue.
Well, he's in again this afternoon, Thiago Silva, 37 years young. I wanted to have a look, though, Jason, at somebody who's going to be playing alongside him in the defence, and that is Malang Sarr. It's his birthday today, turns 23. He can't have... I spoke to him at Manchester City last weekend, and he can't have believed that he would get the kind of action that he has. But he seems to be a trusted member of the squad now for Thomas Tuchel.
Well, that's what it's about. It's a great word, trust, because you can put players in. His first game was Brentford, and we're under some cosh there, by the way. That was a really hard-earned 3 points. Mendy had the game of his life, certainly second half. I thought first half we'd done very well, but defensively we were asked a number of questions. And Sarr stood up, and there's a little bit of personality from Sarr now. I saw him away in the second leg in the semi-final against Spurs at their place. Started to just show a little bit of something, I don't know, a bit of swagger about his game. Stood up, there was a couple of challenges that come in, and I like the way that he, I can't quite remember who the player was. He's gone chest to chest with him. You know, it's, yeah, well, okay, I'm here. It's not, I'm lucky to be here now. He feels, I think, and interesting to see how the game goes, but he feels now like he belongs. And I think it takes maybe 1 or 2 games for you as a young player to come in, especially a team like Chelsea, and not only just to kind of feel as though you're in, but belong and be comfortable. And that's why he's continued to play. The manager is trusting him.
Is he happy to be playing at left-back because he gets a game, or is he thinking, actually, this isn't my natural position?
He's happy. He's happy. He wants, clearly as his game will develop, he's been brought as a centre-half and has shown the qualities in a 4. I don't think we've seen him in a 4. You might be able to tell me differently, but I've only ever seen him in a 3 at the back. But the fact that he can play as a left-back is his pace. The reason that Marcus is playing there is because of his pace, and he does. You know, when he's in control of the ball, he uses it sensibly. He doesn't take unnecessary risks. Like I said, there's a bit of swagger, there's a bit of personality in this game that I'm starting to see. But I think, in answering the question, he would probably be happier playing as centre-half. But look, when you're playing in a game like this, you'll be happy to play anywhere. Maybe not in goal, but you take my point.
And finally, versatility is a good thing for a young player at an elite club to have, isn't it? Because you don't want to be coming here being rigid, saying, I'm a centre-half, I can't play anywhere else. Well, fair enough, you're behind 4 internationals before we get to you in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you know, we've seen managerial changes where Frank was predominantly a 4, yet could do a 3. And we've seen players suffer as a result because they may only be, in Frank's eyes, as a 4. Well, Sarah's proven that he can play in a 4 and a 3. So he's now starting to become, as a squad member, he's already got that, but a really attractive player that a manager can lean on. And look at what he's done, Tuchel, with him. He can play him in a 4, play him in a 3, happy to do both in big games. Don't forget, semi-final today, big games he's playing in. There you go, young man, go out and prove me right again.
So Sarr's in the back 4, picked by Thomas Tuchel. 15 minutes to go till kick-off here. High time, we heard from the Chelsea boss.
Thomas, first of all, how beneficial was it for you and the players to have those 2 days off after the Brighton game?
For me, it was very beneficial because I had a dentist appointment and I got my tooth done, so very beneficial. And for the players, hopefully as well. I mean, it was absolutely necessary to have 2 days off, and now we have 2 days to prepare. The 2 days do not help for everything, but it was the moment, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it. But me personally, I'm always happy to be back in.
You mentioned the incredible run of games, Thomas. It was 18, wasn't it, in 60 days, which was remarkable. Did that provide challenges for you as a coach that you'd not faced before?
We played a huge amount of games in Paris because they also have in France 2 cups and also 20 teams in the league. But this was quite, I mean, unusual playing this amount since November, and we felt it. There's sometimes, which maybe is not so obvious to see or to understand, and no problem with it, but there's a huge difference sometimes having 1 day more of recovery or preparation, and you end up in having injured players and COVID and struggling with it, and you end up in a period of 60 days where it never stops, and you can never breathe. It gets more and more demanding. Nothing you cannot deal with, and it is our job and our ambition to deal with it, and maybe better than we did. But in the very last game, for the first time, I felt the team simply mentally tired. I felt them tired in the meeting before the match, and I struggled to blame them before, and I did not feel like to put my finger in it right before, because sometimes it can also be only my feeling and I'm maybe not right, but it felt like it on the pitch. So it was like this, and lesson is learned, and yeah, we had now 4 days in between the matches, and it's a big one anyway, so we need to be ready.
It is a big one, isn't it? We focus on Tottenham next, as you alluded to there, a team that we've become very familiar with in recent weeks. How big a game do you think this could prove to be, though?
It's a big one always because of the rivalry, and if you look at the table, which is quite confusing, you see that they have even the chance to overtake us if they win all their matches that they need to play. So it's a bit strange. It gives you the feeling that you are far ahead, and which we are obviously not. So we have to deserve it again. We have to refocus. We beat them now twice in a short period of time, and we will try to do it a third time.
Your record against them, if we cover last season and this, is excellent. Played 4, won 4. You've not even conceded a goal against them. Does that help psychologically when you're preparing for a match like this?
Me personally, yeah. Me, yes, but only a little bit, and that does not give us any edge in the game, but makes it easier to convince, makes it easier for the messages to be believed, if we already did it together. And like you said, we did it. And we did it now in a short period of time. The two before were against different coaches. So we did it now in a very short period of time. And that gives us a certain belief. And from there you have to refocus and do it again, because it does not give us a goal ahead or 2 goals ahead in this very game. So the respect for the game must always be the biggest, and in a game of football anything can happen.
Kerr has kept 4 clean sheets in 10 games, 3 of them against Tottenham, funnily enough. How pleased have you been with his attitude and his professionalism since he's come back into the side?
I'm very pleased with him since day one, and it's getting better and better. He is a fantastic team player and a fantastic character, and a very, very good goalkeeper. And I'm happy that he has the chance now to prove it, because Edu is in Cameroon trying to give the very best for his country. So this is only fair, and if he was a player out in the field, he would have had a lot of chances to prove and to get minutes and to show how good he is. And this is very rare opportunities for the goalkeeper who's competing from behind and who's in the competition with a number 1. So it's only fair that he has this chance, and I'm happy that he does what he's doing here on a daily basis.
Brilliant Thomas Tuchel there speaking to Lee Parker ahead of today's game against Tottenham Hotspur. Back in the studio with Dan, we've let him in from the outside. Yeah. It's nice, a little bit of atmosphere as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it was. Everyone's in good spirits. Everyone's expecting a 3 points for Chelsea. So hopefully we can bring that onto the pitch. And I'm still quite confused as to what system we're playing, but I guess we'll see when the first minute goes. Yeah,
we'll find out soon. We've also got Ben, who's still with us on Zoom this afternoon. So, boys, I'm going to get straight into it. We've got a quiz. Okay, we've got a quiz. So Ben, this quiz, Dan's good at quizzes, all right? Am I? Yeah, you've got a good record on this show for quizzes. So, obviously, it had to be about the main man, Gus Poyet, this afternoon, OK? So, these are all related to Gus. So, who would like to go first?
I'll take it.
Yeah, let him go first.
OK, Ben, I'll let you go first. Right, so, Gus has played in this fixture 14 times. How many times did he score for us against Tottenham? Is it 3, 4 or 5?
Man, this is way before my time, but I'm going to go ahead and say 5. Your boy Gus used to bang him in.
He did. He got 3, I'm afraid. It's still a very good record. That's a very good return. Yeah. OK, Dan. Gus played for us 7 times against Tottenham. How many of those games did he win? 5, 6 or 7?
That was a time where we were dominant. I'm going to go with 6.
It is 6, bang on. And the other one was a draw, unbeaten for us against him. OK, Ben, how many times has he been on the winning side against us? 1, 2 or 3?
I'm going to go with 2. Safe choice.
Correct choice. Good work. Good work. OK, so it's 1-1. Dan, Gus has managed 2 English teams. Can you name either of them?
Oh, Brighton?
Yep. For a bonus point? No, I can't give you a bonus point. Who's the other one, though?
I'm struggling. Southampton.
Sunderland.
Oh.
Sunderland. OK. You need this one to stay in it then, Ben. Gus's father was an Olympic athlete at which sport? Basketball, shot put or marathon running?
Marathon running.
Basketball. Basketball. Very sporty family. Obviously, two boys, both athletes as well. Yeah, so good work, Dan. You've absolutely smashed that. So,
good record.
Very, very quickly then. First goal scorer, who are you going for, Ben, this afternoon?
I'm going to go Lukaku. I think he needs one. I think he's going to be fighting for a goal. I think he puts one in first.
OK, I like that, Dan.
I would agree. I think Lukaku needs a goal. I think he'll get it today.
Let's see what the fans think then, shall we?
I'm hoping and thinking for a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Late winner.
Late winner.
You heard it here first.
2-1 Chelsea.
Goal scorers?
I'm going to go with Kai Havertz and Jorginho from the penalty spot.
Brilliant. We love playing Tottenham at the moment, don't we?
Yeah.
I reckon it's going to be 3-0.
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yes. 3-0. Yes.
Yeah.
Goal scorers?
Mason.
Yeah, him.
Mason Mount.
Yes.
A good, strong, powerful game from Chelsea and a 2-1 win.
2-1 win.
2-1 win to Chelsea.
2-1. Oh, 3-1. 3-1.
3-1 to Chelsea.
Werner scored last goal.
Hello and welcome to our coverage of the big one. It's Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League, live from Stamford Bridge. Spurs 8 points behind Chelsea, albeit with 4 games in hand. If they were to win here, they would move into the top 4. If Chelsea were to win, well, Tottenham would be much less of a consideration for the rest of the season. We're just seeing Antonio Conte saying hello to some old friends. The Spurs manager is out before everybody else, and he's just in the dugouts catching up with some people who he knew from his time at Chelsea. We are awaiting the emergence of the two teams then. Chelsea showing 2 changes from the side that started at Brighton, with Sarr in for Alonso and Kovacic for Kanté. It means the Blues have Kerr in goal, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Rudiger and Sarr.